All right, thank you so much. Welcome to another episode of the award-winning Sales Game Changers podcast. Zeev Wexler. This is an AI for selling effectiveness podcast, and we've done about a half a dozen of these. We bring on our good friend Zeev Wexler from ViaCry, and we talk about AI for selling effectiveness, how companies should be using AI these days, how they're learning, how they're growing in order to be more effective. I want to remind people that if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, go up and Zeev, our YouTube shows are increasing with watchership, so viewership, I should say. So we're excited about that. Go give us a thumbs up, ask a question. We'll get to them all. I want to remind people also that we transcribe every show that we've ever done. Go to salesgamechangerspodcast.com, salesgamechangerspodcast.com, and we're going to be bringing on our good friend Franci Hirsch. She's the VP for Sales Operations and Enablement at Cvent. And Franci, we've done a lot of shows in the past with Cvent sales leaders such as Brian Ludwig, Daryl Gert. So go up to salesgamechangerspodcast.com, search on Cvent, and you'll find all of our shows. So Zeev, I'm excited. Franci's company, Cvent, was one of the first recipients of the Institute for Effective Professional Selling's AI for Sales Effectiveness Award. We gave that out earlier in May at our 15th annual award event, and they're doing some great things with AI.
They are. And this was something that surprised both of us. We got so many applications and we went through them and we could not give awards because they were not a good practice of how to use AI in sales. And Cvent was one of the two only companies. We wanted to give 3, 4, maybe 5 awards. We ended up giving 2. And one of them was for you, Franci. And because you guys really do you put an effort and there's a plan behind it, and we were amazed on how many companies did not do that. So we wanted to bring you on to really share on how you do this for Cvent, and maybe share so other companies can learn about what you need to do. And we still know that everything is a work in progress and you guys are getting better day by day, but we cannot wait to hear about how you guys implemented AI in sales.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited, as Fred mentioned. We've had a lot of Cventers on the Game Changers podcast, so I'm excited to be able to talk about some of the best practices, if you can even call them best practices. AI is moving really fast right now, so they're best practices today at Cvent in terms of how we're using AI. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. So why don't you give us a brief introduction? Tell us who you are.
Sure.
For people who don't know about Cvent, just give a little intro to Cvent, and then let's get started talking about some of the things that you've already done to receive the award, and then we'll get into some details about how you're managing everything organizationally, and then some advice for people watching the show.
Okay. Well, my name is Franci Hirsch. I'm the head of sales operations and enablement at Cvent. Cvent is a software company specializing in event management and hospitality technology. We have literally 25,000 plus clients worldwide. We power some of the largest events in the world. We work with some of the largest hotel chains in the world. Everything from a 10,000 person conference to, a 200 person event to the, Institute for the Effectiveness of Professional Sales. So yeah, we kind of do everything in between. I have personally done pretty much anything you can do in sales, and I think that's why I have the job I do, which is focusing on operations and enablement. So training, revenue operations, sales planning, and then sales systems, which is kind of why I'm here today. AI for us has been, it's not really a journey because I guess we're still on it, but we have had to move really, really fast. And so where we were when you think a year and a half ago to where we are now is completely different. AI before was something that we talked about. I personally didn't really understand it. All I knew of it was ChatGPT. And then we just started hearing it from vendors, right? They were going to be using AI. So I had to do a fair amount of research on my own, but then, I went to a lot of our vendors, which I'm sure we'll talk about, to find out what are they thinking, what are they doing, and that's how I became educated as an executive. I learned from what's in the field so that we could implement it. So So yeah, AI at Cvent means a lot right now. Certainly, there's the product side of what we do, which is to help our, our customers take advantage of it. But then internally at sales, it's mostly kind of productivity related resources. How do you move faster? How do you make it easier? How do you sell more, right? What are all the things that we can do to integrate into people's workflows, as well as help them have better conversations with customers. So we've been focused on that. But then we're also focused, which is more of the generative AI piece. We're really trying to focus more on the agentic AI piece as well. That's sort of something that's even new, even in the last couple of months, that we're trying to stay ahead of. So it's all of those pieces working both with our vendors as well as internally to develop tools so that way we can make people more efficient.
Yeah. So Zev, Franci just talked about the agentic side of AI. Give us a little bit of a perspective on what that means. And then Franci, I want to ask about some of the specific tools that you've implemented that were part of your winning our first award.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely. So let's start with agentic. So what is agentic versus the things that we know? So agentic AI is basically when we give an AI rules, guidance, but also permissions to go do things for us. It's not like a chatbot that we tell it, hey, what is this? And the chatbot responds to us. It's basically an entity, an agent. Okay. Agentic AI is just a fancy word for agent. So it's an agent that we send to do our bidding based on a very strict guideline. So agents of AI, agentic AI has so much room in sales, marketing, and so much else. And it's basically an entity that goes out there and does things for us. Now, Franci, I loved what you said about the journey that is still going. AI is moving so fast, so fast. And we got to teach ourselves, we got to ask our vendors, how have you been able to manage it, and how have you been educating your team to keep up with everything?
Yeah, so like I said, let me take a step back. So we've been asked, boards ask CEOs, CEOs ask executives, we ask our customers, we ask our employees, right? Everybody's trying to figure out what we're all doing. And so I think Cvent has tried to do a good job helping us go fast, but also not, helping or encouraging us to duplicate effort. So we have an AI council at Cvent that looks to see what people are doing. Most of it is very encouraging, right? It's trying to encourage people, give people ideas of paths they can go down. I think while we don't want to duplicate efforts, we also want to move fast. We want to try things fast. And I think our organization has told our executive team, move fast, fail fast, figure it out, because this is an ever evolving field. And I appreciate that type of flexibility. And I encourage companies to offer that to their executives and their employees, because it's really important as we try to figure out what works for us. So I think that's one thing. And the second piece, as I mentioned before, is we talk to every single one of our vendors that we work with, whether it's SalesLoft, ZoomInfo, Microsoft, right? Everybody, to find out what are they doing? What are they using, right? We want to learn from them. And then what are they incorporating in their products? So Fred mentioned it before, SalesLoft, right? They have email writers. We have ways through Glean that we use to create presentations. There's so many different things that are customer facing that we've allowed our salespeople to do, but it's still a work in progress. Like, we are still trying to figure it out. We're encouraging our salespeople where, normally we try to be very strategic about saying, hey, we're going to evaluate things in a certain order. We're going to look at things based off of our roadmap. When it comes to our systems roadmap, right, it is, let's try and figure it out. Let's just make sure we're gathering the information. And I think that's how you scale this, which is, it can't be the wild, wild west. You can't just let everybody do everything all the time. You want people to try things out, but you've got to be able to understand and capture that information. I actually have somebody on my systems team now that is 100% dedicated to AI, 100%. And that's a new change, because I realize unless it's someone's job full time, it's just always going to be a piece of what they do. And so I think those are some of the big things that we focused on, and why, we've hopefully been able to be recognized for this, and hopefully we'll be recognized in the future for being an AI leader.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Just as we're talking about this, the IEPS has a couple designations. We have our premier women in sales employer, and we have our premier sales employer, of which Cvent has been recognized every time. Of course, our new 2025 list is going to be published later on this fall, and I'm sure Cvent will be on both lists. And the reason I'm bringing that up is, premier organizations. Uh, not just implement tools, because it's very easy to buy tools and throw them in. I'm just kind of curious what type of feedback you get from the ground up. You gave a great answer before where you talked about the board goes to the CEO and the CEO goes to the exec team and the exec
Hmm.
team from leadership. As sales leaders, we invest in tools and we want our people to use them. And we invest in the tools that we think that are going to be most valuable. I'm just kind of curious, like what has been the ground up response to the new direction to utilize these AI related tools?
Well, the good thing is that in addition to sales operations, I also manage all sales training. And so we have certain pieces that no matter what we train on have to be, there are red threads that have to be taken through everything, right? And one of those, it's always been systems. It's always been, if we're teaching on prospecting, what are the tools that can help people prospect? If we're teaching on giving presentations, what are the tools that we have that can help enable that, right? That are hopefully embedded in workflows. It's no difference with AI. Everything we do now current that runs through it. What are the tools that they can use to make them go faster? So it's not even something extra. It's embedding it in their workflow. Now, the feedback from the Salesforce is largely positive, right? People like it. Let me give you an example. We rolled out ZoomInfo Copilot about 8 or 9 months ago, and it has been met with rave reviews. I highly, highly recommend it. It is a tool. It takes all the different data sources that we have, including call transcripts and call summaries, and it creates these account plans that are aligned with selling methodologies, that are aligned with the research that we want them to do. So within a click of a button, call plans are created, right? Telling you what their next best sale is, right? Everything that you would need as a salesperson. So I think the idea is you're going to do this work on your own. We're going to help you do it. We're going to get you 80% of the way there because AI is still needs to be tested. It's not a human, it's not perfect, but it needs to be tested. But we've done a lot of the legwork, the stuff that you don't want to do. So now you can apply that lens that we hired you for, right? That creative seller lens, the challenger, and apply it to that. And so I think that's been a really big success story. Again, the feedback is great. Same with some of the email writers that we've created for people through little chat bots and things like that, where people can, instead of having to write first hit emails or prospecting emails, they take the prompts that we've given them, and within a click of the button, they've got their communications ready to go. So you take that, couple it with cadence tools like SalesLoft. You've got prospecting tools through ZoomInfo or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? It's kind of one workflow for them to work through, which has been really well was, excuse me, really well received.
And then I'll challenge. So this is great and I love it. But what have been more of the challenging things? Have you gotten
Yeah.
anything that was like, hey, I don't know about this, or any people that were, I'm not refusing, but challenged with using these tools? Can you tell us a little bit about the other side as well, which I love hearing that it's mostly positive, but
Yeah.
would love to hear.
Yeah, it hasn't all been perfect all the time. We've had some challenges. I think when we first started creating tools to help people write emails and conduct outreach, a lot of the feedback we got was, this isn't written by a human, right? This is written by a bot. This isn't doesn't sound like me. There's a lot of that, and we've had to actually work with AI pieces of our platform to figure that out. And that is still a work in progress, right? There are a lot of people that don't like using it for that because piece of it. But I think when you're trying to achieve scale on a lot of things, there are use cases, right? We're an events company, right? And so we invite people to events. Well, a lot of event invites don't need to be written in perfect, personal language. You can sort of take most of it, genericize most of it, and then add a couple of lines in that are your own. And I think we're figuring out what the use cases are. I think proposals are another one. We're still trying to figure out how to create proposals and automate the use of proposals through AI. But one of the biggest challenges that we face, and I think any organization, sales or otherwise, in order to use AI well, you have to have a really, really solid data source. And so I mentioned training before. Well, this is where the operations team comes in. Everything's got to be documented. The data sources have to be very, very smooth, easy to understand, because if you don't have a good underlying data source, then the AI is not going to tell you to do the right thing. And so I think that's the other part that we're still spending a lot of time on. And we've invested even more in documentation and more ways to sort of codify what it is we do and what's best practice at Cvent. So that way our AI is giving that back to us in the right format.
I'm just kind of curious, a little bit off track here, but not off track, but
Okay.
off topic. Again, we're a customer of Cvent. We love using the
Yep.
software. As a matter of fact, we have a couple of events coming up where I was just looking at the Cvent app this morning. You work with some, it's highly critical, a lot of events. They're a big part of a company's year for not-for-profits. They're the annual big thing. So there's a lot of risk in getting it right. I'm just kind of curious, and you may not know the answer. Are your customers coming to you looking for more AI solutions in your tool? Has that been overwhelming? Again, as I'm asking you the question, I realize, that's taking away a little bit from sales, but I'm just kind of curious if you have any access to that.
Well, I do. It's not, they're not as separate as you think. Our customers have events as part of their engagement. So do we. We use it for leads, right? These are important parts of the sales process on both sides. And we're doing a lot, right? It was certainly a huge part of our product rollout at our recent user conference, Cvent Connect. Um, we're working on a lot right now through Cvent IQ. And so what that is for us is taking the things that make Cvent so great, our industry knowledge, our ability to personalize, taking all of those things and then adding AI on top of it. So what does that mean? That means attendee-facing chatbots that you can use, predictive modeling for registration and attendance. So to be able to give people insight into, hey, this is what these types of events we think will generate for you in terms of attendance, and here's what's going to happen if you expand them here, expand them there. There's certainly AI email intelligence for events, just writing the emails for you to make it go faster so planners don't have to keep doing this. Personalized attendee recommendations. I mean, I've got probably 20 or 30 that I can go through, but it's all aimed at a few things. One is helping you generate more people to come to your event, and then helping your event to the experience itself to go well. For example, you've got an event coming up. We can generate a session level summaries. AI can generate those to people, so you can immediately post them on the website. And you don't have to do really any extra work. So it's
I love
exciting.
that.
We're looking through, and that's only on the event side. That doesn't even, we haven't even gone to the hotel side and what we're doing on planner search and venue search and all of that. So we're getting a lot of questions right now, but like I said, I'm going to go back to what I said before. We go to our vendors to find out what they're doing so we can take best practices and then we can share, and that's what customers are coming to us for. They want to find out what are the best practices from an industry leader, and the same thing. So it's just kind of like the AI Council. It is a lot of sharing of information fast and getting ideas fast and moving fast.
I love that. So I got three major things. Okay. So the AI
Okay.
council is number one. And Fred and I have preached that to every company
Yeah.
to have an AI council. I heard from you that the board leadership CEO is pushing you guys to move fast, not be afraid of doing mistakes. And I've
Hmm.
heard, as you are part of the training, that you bring in AI into the training. Can you give a little bit more of advice for both, leadership or even the people that are doing the work, how to adapt and adopt AI better based on all the amazing things you guys have done in Cvent?
Yeah. I mean, people will use something if it makes their life easier. Just that's facts. Even people who are resistant to change, resistant to technology, they will do it. And so I think showing people how it can be done, integrating things into their workflow. I often say on my systems team, workflow is the North Star, right? That is a North Star. Don't give somebody something else to do. Make it part of what they do day to day. So I think that's the piece. And I think also educating people on what AI is. So one thing I'm really proud of at Cvent is we have developed a really, really strong AI training curriculum. And again, it's hard to train on something that keeps changing, but we've started at the foundational level across all Cventers, which is what is AI, so that people understand what is a neural link, right? And all those things that most people don't understand, just the basics. Then training on our Cvent IQ and our AI products, right? The things that the products that I just described. And then the sales pitch, right? Which is how do you then make it come alive to customers and the product pieces. So like we have a five-step training program that we've put together from the foundational level at Cvent down to the sales rep. And I think when you do that, again, the thread that goes through everything, you're going to get the adoption that you want. And it also encourages leaders to make sure that they're getting educated and making the change that they need, because I think that's really where it comes from.
Right. Well, once again, we talked today on the Sales Game Changers podcast, the AI for Selling Effectiveness podcast with Franci Hirsch, VP of Sales, Operations, and Enablement at Cvent. Cvent was one of the first two winners of the Institute for Effective Professional Selling AI for Sales Excellence Awards. They're also going to be a recipient of the IEPS Premier Sales Employer and Premier Women in Sales Employers as well. Franci, before I ask you for your final thought, your final action step, Zev, is there anything else that you want to say? Again, we're here with Zeev Wexler from Viacry, and I just want to remind people too, the last show that we did, we talked about our eval program, the Capgemini eval program that's available from the IEPS and Viacry. Basically, we'll go, or Viacry consultants will work with your organization to do a complete audit of your sales and AI tools, strategy, implementation, existence, etc. Zev, do you want to give us a final thought on that and something to wrap up what Franci just said before we ask her for her final action step?
I just love what you guys do. I love that you guys have both leadership and the ground level involved in this. And again, guys, AI is a moving train and it's moving fast, but you don't need to be afraid. You must jump on the train because you cannot stay in the station. And yes, it's moving. I love that you guys are doing everything with training. I think education is step one. And hearing that you guys have what I call like an AI governance board, and you have a different name for it. It's amazing. You got to have smart people guiding where the train is moving forward. And the fact that your leadership and you guys push, don't be afraid. Mistakes will happen, and use your own kind of training sandbox is amazing. I think agentic AI is gonna do so much for Cvent, and I see you guys using it so much already. So it's beautiful to see, and I think you guys are a beacon for other companies to jump in. AI is not going anywhere. AI is gonna change everything, and the only way to do it is start. The only way to do it is basically play. What we recommend, Fred, to everybody, our clients, is you got to try it. Okay, if you don't try it, you don't know what it is. You got to educate, and you got to give people the license to try it and make mistakes, because if not, you're just not going to grow. But I salute you, Franci and Cvent. I think you guys are doing all the right moves, and I know the journey's long, and I love your leadership and what you guys are doing. So it's just amazing. It's just, you're a beacon to show other companies what they need to do. And the maturity level of AI in our market is about 1%. And
Mhm.
it's so awesome to see companies like you show the way.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Well,
once
thank
again,
you.
Franci Hirsch, thank you so much for being on the Sales Game Changers podcast. Once again, go to salesgamechangerspodcast.com and search for Cvent, and you'll see plenty of our interviews, including the one with Franci. Franci, you've given us a lot of great ideas, a lot of things that sales leaders can think about implementing. Give us one specific action step that you recommend people do after listening to today's show or reading today's transcript.
You know, before you start investing in tools, before you start saying AI is going to change the way you do work, educate yourself. I took the step forward when I just took a couple of classes on LinkedIn Learning that my company offered for free on AI for leaders, because I really felt uneducated compared to a lot of the people that were coming out of college who had just been using this for a while, right? It's like, think like social media back in 2009. Like I didn't really know this, but then everybody knew it right away, right? And so I wanted it now. Hopefully, this will be more impactful than social media in a positive way. But the I think that's important, which is like take the step. It doesn't take much, but really kind of understand the foundational piece of it. And I think leaders especially will find themselves a lot more motivated to inspire their teams to act. So I think that would be my one piece of advice.
No, that's a great bit of advice is, yeah, just dive in. like Zev and I talked about, and Zev and I talk about this on the AI for Selling Effectiveness podcast, is it's like a language. You know, you
Mhm.
need to get deep. Any type of athletic thing that you're going to be doing, you just got to do. And the more you do, the more you learn, and then the more you can figure out ways to apply it to help your business grow. All right. Once again, I want to thank Zev Wexler from Viacry. I also want to thank again Franci Hirsch, the VP of
Thank
Sales
you.
Operations. You're welcome. And Enablement at Cvent. My name is Fred Diamond, and this is the Sales Game Changers podcast.